Incredible Waitress discovers hidden truth that transforms a billionaire's 100M decision forever. Jessica Parker felt the rain hammering against the diner's glass windows like it wanted in. It was a typical Friday evening at Wilson's Diner, a beloved spot in their small Midwestern town. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the sweet scent of apple pie, creating a cozy haven for weary souls looking for warmth and connection. Jessica juggled orders and laughter while keeping a watchful eye on her 8-year-old daughter, Emily, coloring in the corner booth. Her heart swelled with pride, even as her own dreams slowly faded in the steam rising from her coffee pot. Then, as lightning cracked and thunder roared outside, the door swung open. Jessica froze as a soaked figure stepped in, shaking off the rain like a wet dog. It was Thomas Wells, a billionaire known more for his distant lifestyle than any connection to this community. She watched him, unsure whether he was a blessing or an intrusion. And yet, there he stood, a suit soaked through, eyes filled with something like exhaustion. She approached him, coffee pot in hand. "Welcome to Wilson's. Can I interest you in a slice of our famous pie?" she asked with a welcoming smile. Forgetting her own fraying nerves, he muttered something about a coffee, busying himself with a stack of papers. Jessica refilled his cup, her mind only half focused on the task. As she turned, her elbow nudged the table, sending coffee cascading over his important documents. Jessica gasped, mortified. The world around her seemed to pause, and as Thomas's glare transformed into bewilderment, something caught her eye. A letter slid towards her, the bold print catching her breath. Plans to demolish the diner. Her heart dropped. The paper detailed the construction of a high-end hotel, set to replace the very place where lifetimes of memories lived. Regrets washed over her like the rain outside. This diner was more than just a building. It was where her mother used to bring her, where she had found support when life got tough. Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked them away, more determined than ever. "Listen, you can't do this," she stammered, clutching the letter tightly. "This diner is everything to this town." Caught off guard by her intensity, Thomas raised an eyebrow, surprise flickering in his eyes. The diner's warmth enveloped her, sparking a fire deep within. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. His demeanor shifted as he studied the handwritten notes from locals. Emotional testimonials of a place filled with laughter, tears, and solace. Riled up, Jessica felt hope swell within her. She'd gather everyone together. They would fight for Wilson's. She organized a community meeting. Energy surged through her. Here, in this rickety diner, she witnessed decades of dreams stitched together with threads of unity. But the walls of confidence felt fragile. Doubt wrapped around her heart, squeezing tight. What if they failed? What if the diner went down in flames, just another casualty of ambition? She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Moments later, as the crowd filled the diner, Jessica stood at the front, her voice trembling yet fierce. "This diner represents us. It's not just a place to eat. It's what binds everyone here." Her passion ignited spirits, but Thomas, standing silently at the back, wrestled with his own thoughts. The warmth of the diner wrapped around him, challenging everything he had known, and in that charged atmosphere, a silence fell, not the comforting kind but one heavy with unspoken choices. Thomas realized he was at a crossroads, torn between profit and the beautiful, raw essence of community laid bare before him. Would he follow through with his plans, or would he listen to the heart of the very place he hadn't truly seen? The air thick with tension hummed with anticipation, leaving both Jessica and Thomas suspended between two futures, and the question remained. Would the bonds of community unfold, or fracture under pressure? The diner buzzed with energy, faces filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Jessica glanced around at the regulars, her neighbors each familiar face telling a story, bound to this place and to one another. The thought of losing it all tightened in her chest, a grip she refused to let loosen. "Let us not let this slip away," she urged, her voice rising above the murmurs. "This diner isn't just bricks and mortar. It's our history. It's where we celebrate birthdays, where we find comfort in times of loss." A soft murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. It felt like a spark igniting, but the weight of uncertainty loomed large. Across the room, Thomas crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. The warmth filling the diner was a stark contrast to the cold distance he had kept from the world for so long. His mind raced, cluttered with numbers, projections, and the clarity of a vision that now felt distant. He had come here to finalize his plans, to see the beginning of something grand, but now he saw, in flickers, the warmth of community and belonging. Could these be enough to sway him? Emily, busy with her crayons, glanced up, her innocent smile lighting up the heavy atmosphere. The innocence of children had a way of breaking through the toughest of barriers. Didn't it? Jessica caught her eye and felt a rush of determination surge within her. She thought of Emily's future, of a place where she could grow, where memories could flourish. "I want this for her," she whispered to herself. "Jessica," a voice called from the back. It was Mr. Reynolds, the town's oldest resident, his voice crackling like old vinyl. "I've been coming here since I was a kid. My parents brought me here. We need it just as much now as we did then." More nods and murmurs filled the room, resonating with shared experiences, an echo of all that the diner represented. Thomas shifted, caught off guard by the weight of their shared stories. He began, but the words fell heavy in his throat. He had never been good at this. Emotions weren't part of his world. Numbers and profits had always taken precedence. But something about their passion shook something loose within him, and as the stories rolled on, he felt the cracks in his own carefully laid plans. Jessica pressed on, feeling the tide of support. "Each breakfast, lunch, and dinner has become part of our lives. We laugh, cry, share, and heal together." She breathed deeply, trying to hold the crowd's gaze. "We can't let it be taken from us without a fight." The room erupted into applause, a powerful collective heartbeat of unity. Jessica's heart raced, her hope intertwining with the concern etched on Thomas's features. He clenched his fist, the charcoal gray of his suit stark against the warmth of the diner. With each hand raised and every voice joined, her vision for a united front solidified. "I will not stand by and let someone void our existence." The diner, spacious and unyielding, was charged with emotion, hope, anxiety, and a fierce resolve that rested on the shoulders of both Jessica and Thomas. As the laughter and cheers filled the air, the tension in Thomas slowly began to thaw. What could he lose by listening? A harsh profit? Or could he gain something more valuable? Jessica caught his gaze, fierce yet searching, and the vibrant community around them mirrored the same plea. "What's it going to be?" she challenged, her heart pounding. The diner felt alive, each moment electrified, dancing in the uncertainty. Would Thomas choose profit? Or would he be drawn to something deeper, perhaps a connection to the very humanity he had spent years shielding himself from? The simple question lingered, a storm gathering in his heart. Was he willing to risk it all for something that could change not only this diner but something profound in himself? The weight of silence wrapped around Thomas as he stood there, his heart pounding loudly in his ears. He looked around the room, taking in the faces filled with anticipation and hope. Each one of them was counting on him, a stranger in their midst, to make a decision that could change everything. Jessica's gaze burned into him, a fire of determination that made him uneasy. For years, he had shielded himself from emotion, focusing solely on numbers and profit margins. Each calculation had been a fence he built around his heart. But now, those barriers felt flimsy, like paper against the storm of feelings swirling around him. "Jessica," he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I came here to close a deal, to get this project started." I never thought. His voice trailed off, caught in the tightening knot of realization. He didn't understand what it meant to care for a place like this. Yet here he was, standing before a community that bled love for this diner. You can still choose, she replied, stepping closer. It doesn't have to be just about the money. Think of the lives connected to this place. Just then, the diner door swung open, and the brisk autumn air rushed in, signaling the arrival of more patrons. Their laughter and chatter filled the space, vibrant and hopeful. Thomas watched as kids darted toward the counter. Parents exchanged warm greetings, and the diner staff buzzed like bees around a hive. In that moment, a sudden realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. This was not just a business venture. It was a lifeline for so many, a part of the fabric that held this community together. A place for laughter, heartbreak, and healing. The thought made his heart ache strangely. Mr. Reynolds, he called, his voice stronger now. How long have you been coming here? Oh, longer than I care to remember. This diner raised me. My heart is bound to it, the older man said, the twinkle in his eyes evident. And for your kids, too? Thomas pressed, feeling a pull at the edges of his resistance. Of course. It's where we grow together, Mr. Reynolds replied, a hint of emotion cracking his voice. The air thickened with nostalgic warmth. Thomas looked back at Jessica, who was now smiling through tears, her entire being radiating hope. Her fervent belief pierced through the fog of his former convictions. I wasn't considering the impact on the people, he stammered, the late afternoon sunlight warming his back. I thought only of profit, of expansion. Jessica's face brightened, but Thomas needed to tread carefully. But what if I helped you keep this place alive in a different way? What if instead of closing, we turned it into something that can be a community hub? We can remodel, inviting more families, hosting events, and celebrating what it means to belong. The initial roar of applause started low but quaked through the diner, swelling as disbelief transformed into joy. Thomas felt lighter, as if the weight of the world was lifted just by hearing their appreciation. But would they accept him? Would they trust someone who once seemed driven by greed? He scanned the crowd, hoping to glimpse their acceptance. Deep down, he questioned his worthiness to be part of what they built. And then, he saw Emily again, her eyes wide with excitement. A spark of hope nestled within the innocence of childhood. She beamed at him, as if seeing a new possibility flicker to life. Jessica shot him a look that was a mix of expectation and encouragement. They want you to be part of this family, Thomas, she urged softly. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, the door swung once more, and a newcomer entered, a tall figure cloaked in shadows. The atmosphere shifted. Murmurs fell silent as eyes turned towards this unexpected arrival. Who were they, and what did they have to say about the diner's fate? In that moment, doubt crept back into Thomas's mind. Was he truly ready to embrace this new path? And what did the newcomer know that could change everything? The newcomer stepped into the diner with an air of quiet authority. Thomas felt a chill run down his spine, as if the room's warmth suddenly vanished. The figure stood still for a moment, allowing the conversations to fade into an awkward hush. The person was a woman, her features obscured by the woven scarf wrapped around her neck and the broad-brimmed hat casting a shadow over her face. Yet, even under the dim light, Thomas could sense a powerful presence. He shifted his weight from one foot to another, the uncertainty bubbling back inside him. Can I help you? Jessica's voice cut through the silence, sharp and protective. The woman slowly raised her head, her eyes glinting like shards of glass. I hope so, she replied, her tone measured, thoughtful. I hear that changes are being considered for this diner. Thomas felt the room's collective breath hold tight, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. He caught a glance at Jessica, whose expression had turned wary. It's a community matter, Thomas interjected, trying to exude a confidence he didn't feel. We're planning for the future, a new endeavor together. The woman nodded, and her gaze shifted toward Mr. Reynolds. And that endeavor, will it stay true to the heart of what this diner represents? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Thomas felt as if the spotlight had shifted from his thoughts to the heart of the diner itself. It was a moment that felt deeply personal, as if she was not just asking about renovations but about their very souls. "Right now, we're focusing on preserving what makes this place special," Thomas replied, his voice steady yet unsure. He had never considered how much the diner represented until this very moment. "Special," the woman echoed softly, her lips forming a thin line. "But what if I told you the heart of this diner is at risk? What if there's something you don't know?" Thomas's heart raced as he absorbed her words. "What do you mean?" he pressed, trying to keep his voice calm. With a measured breath, the woman reached into her coat pocket and pulled out an old photograph. The edges were worn, and it seemed to hold a world of memories within its beige tint. She stepped closer, placing it delicately on the table between them. "Take a look. This diner has secrets hidden beneath the surface, and you might need to uncover them before making any decisions." Jessica leaned in, curiosity igniting in her eyes. Thomas reached for the photograph, mind racing. What could it possibly reveal? As he lifted it to the light, he caught glimpses of familiar faces, some expressions joyful, others tinged with sadness. A young couple behind the diner in the twilight, arms draped around each other. And amongst them, he recognized one face that stood out with startling clarity, his own grandfather. Beaming in the background, a wave of disbelief crashed over him as pieces started clicking together. Memories he never explicitly acknowledged flooded his mind, pulling him back to family gatherings where laughter filled the air amidst starlit nights. "What is this?" His voice trembled with the weight of realization. "Your connection to this place goes deeper than you thought," the woman said, her voice gentle yet resolute. "The diner doesn't just need saving. It needs honoring." As the room buzzed back to life, Thomas felt the eyes of the crowd, still hungry for hope, but now questioning the choices ahead. Could he really honor his family's legacy? Did he have the strength to embrace it? The newcomer turned to leave, one final enigmatic gesture lingering. "You have a choice, Thomas. But remember, uncovering the past can change the future." And with that, she stepped out into the crisp autumn breeze, leaving behind whispers of doubt and a flicker of understanding. Thomas stood frozen, grappling with the weight of revelations unraveling before him. He caught Jessica's gaze, and for the first time, he saw her concern mingling with something deeper: determination. "Are you okay?" Jessica asked, stepping closer. He nodded, but his heart raced with confusion and excitement. Just as he opened his mouth to share the news of his newfound legacy, the sound of the diner door swung open once more. The weight of uncertainty pressed down on him anew. What waited outside now? What new truth would challenge everything he thought he knew about himself and the diner? A gust of wind swept in as the door creaked open again, making the diners shiver slightly. Thomas turned, feeling the anticipation build in his chest. A tall man stepped inside, his silhouette sharp against the vibrant decor of the diner. He was dressed sharply, waving an expensive jacket, and as he strode in, his aura radiated an undeniable confidence. He scanned the room with piercing blue eyes that seemed to absorb every detail. "What's going on in here?" the man asked, his voice booming but laced with curiosity. He walked toward Thomas, extending his hand. "I'm Jack. I heard this place might have some opportunities on the table." Jessica shot Thomas a quick glance, concern flickering across her face. "This was unexpected, Thomas," he replied, shaking Jack's hand, feeling the firm grip. "We're renovating," Jack interrupted with a knowing smile, his eyes darting to the old photograph still lying on the table like a relic from a more innocent time. "I know all about it." The woman's warning echoed in Thomas's mind. He could feel the weight of the photograph, the legacies it represented, but he didn't want to lose this moment with Jack. This man could be the key to securing their plans and breathing new life into the diner. "Actually, we're focused on preserving our history while modernizing the diner," Thomas added, his voice steadying. Jack raised an eyebrow. "Preserving history. Sounds noble but risky." He leaned closer, lowering his voice as if drawing Thomas into a secret. "You know, my team and I just wrapped up plans for a massive investment opportunity in the area. We're looking for something unique, something with a story." Thomas felt the buzz of adrenaline shoot through him. Unique like this diner. Exactly. Jack nodded. But I wonder how committed are you to that story? Jessica stood silent, tension rising in her posture as she absorbed the unfolding moment. Their dreams felt fragile, like fine china teetering on the edge of a table. Just then, a young waitress walked past carrying a tray. She glanced at the old photograph before stopping suddenly, her breath catching in her throat. Wait a second, I know this couple. They used to come here all the time. Thomas turned, suddenly caught off guard by the unexpected recognition. You do? Yeah. That's Mrs. Harrington. She pointed to the couple in the photograph. She used to bring her grandkids here every Friday. The diner was their tradition. A wave of nostalgia washed over Thomas, and for a moment, he could almost hear the laughter from those starlit nights. Jack's interest peaked. Tradition, now that's something worth investing in. But what about the risks? Thomas's voice wavered. Can we really take that leap? The waitress stepped closer, her eyes alive with excitement. If you really respect the history, that'll bring people back. Trust me, we need places with heart. Silence fell as everyone weighed the thoughts circling in the air. Thomas felt the energy shift. This wasn't just about the renovations or the money anymore. It was about rekindling connections with the past, and perhaps healing wounds that never fully closed. What if we told the stories? Thomas said suddenly, hope sparking in his chest. What if we turned this diner into a community hub, not just a place to eat, but a museum of memories? Jack clasped his hands together, intrigued. Now that's an angle I could get behind. Just like that, a flicker of possibility ignited between them. But in the back of Thomas's mind, the woman's warning lingered, uncovering the past could indeed change the future. As they began piecing together ideas, the diner hummed back to life, unsure of what this new path might mean. Just as excitement filled the air, the door swung open once more. Another figure emerged, squinting at the light. Thomas exchanged bewildered looks with Jessica and Jack as the newcomer stepped inside. What would this person bring to the unfolding story? Would they be another piece in the puzzle to restore the diner's legacy, or a challenge that could threaten it all? The newcomer stepped fully into the diner, brushing off stray droplets of rain that clung to their coat. Thomas could feel the weight of anticipation in the air, thick like smoke. The woman was short but had a presence that filled the room. She moved with urgency, her dark hair escaping its bun, as if her very being demanded attention. Is this the diner? She asked, glancing breathlessly around. Her gaze landed on the waitress, whose excitement had turned to confusion. Yeah, it is, the waitress replied, furrowing her brow. The woman shook her head slightly, as if trying to shake off a memory. I've been looking for it for a long time. I knew it had to be here. Jack, intrigued and slightly impatient, leaned forward. What's so special about this place? It looks quaint, certainly, but I've seen my fair share of diners. The woman's eyes lit up. This diner is more than just quaint. I have to tell you, she hesitated, looking over at Thomas, as if weighing something heavy. This diner holds secrets. Secrets that might change everything. Jessica's expression morphed from confusion to concern. What do you mean? My name's Clara, the woman said, taking a breath. I grew up in this neighborhood. My grandmother used to bring me here. Mrs. Harrington was not just a regular. She was family. But more importantly, she was connected to a story. So what kind of story are you talking about? Thomas asked, his heart racing. This was it, the spark they needed. Clara nodded, her voice lowering conspiratorially. A story of love and loss that ties back to this very diner. There's a reason Mr. Harrington bought this place for his wife. Jack tapped his fingers anxiously on the table. And what is that reason? Clara's eyes darted toward the diner's walls, as if searching for hidden signs. It's about more than just memories. It's about a piece of land that could have been a community center, a home for so many. Mrs. Harrington fought for it, but they lost everything due to a broken promise. The waitress stepped in, genuine curiosity written over her face. I remember that. My grandma would tell me how they tried to save the neighborhood. I never understood it as a kid. Thomas glanced between Clara and the waitress, a thread of connection weaving between them. What happened? He pressed. A developer promised to revitalize the area but only left it in ruins. Clara explained, frustration tightening her voice. And now that developer is back, looking to profit from the very legacy they mocked. Anger flared inside Thomas. This wasn't just about renovating the diner anymore. It was about valuing the community and taking a stand against all that had been lost. Jessica's brow furrowed with thought. What if we could bring that story to light? What if we shared it with the community, honored it? Yes, Clara exclaimed, her voice rising with passion. If you build this diner into a haven of memories, it's stronger than any business model. You could unite the people in this neighborhood. Thomas's heart pounded. This was the challenge he wanted, something to rally behind. But how do we start? Clara's brow creased, her eyes glistening with determination. We need the Harringtons' legacy in the spotlight. I still have contacts, information, perhaps even the original plans for the center they envisioned just then. The diner's door swung wide open yet again, a blast of cold air heralding the arrival of an unfamiliar figure yet again. Thomas felt all eyes turn toward the entrance. Who else could come through that door? What new secrets, stories, or revelations awaited them, and could this latest arrival threaten or enhance their budding plans? The new figure stepped hesitantly into the diner, shaking off raindrops in a way that made the familiar scene feel suddenly foreign. A tall man in a charcoal suit. He looked out of place, like a wolf in a den full of sheep. The look on his face, part anxiety, part determination, captured everyone's attention as Clara stepped back, her demeanor morphing from enthusiastic to cautious. Can I help you?" the waitress asked, her brow still knit with confusion. The man took a moment to gather himself, drawing in a deep breath before addressing the crowd. "Sorry for barging in like this. My name is Ryan Wilkes." He paused, scanning the faces before him, and stopped on Clara. "I was told I could find information about the Harrington estate here." Gasps filled the diner, as if an uninvited guest had spoken an incantation that brought the past crashing into the present. Clara's jaw went slack, and she exchanged glances with the waitress and Thomas. There, among the remnants of coffee cups and half-eaten pancakes, lay the weight of history. Are you related to the developers?" Clara asked, her voice apprehensive. Ryan shook his head firmly, a faint blush creeping to his cheeks. No. My grandparents were neighbors of the Harringtons. I've been trying to piece together my family history," and he hesitated. "I believe I've found something important." Thomas felt the air grow taut with possibilities. "What did you find?" "I discovered a folder behind the old walls of my grandfather's house." Ryan's eyes gleamed, lighting up with a mixture of excitement and fear. It contained blueprints for the community center Mrs. Harrington dreamed of. "It's more than plans. It has a list of residents who were supposed to benefit from it. Their stories, their lives." Clara gasped. "But why now? Why come here?" "I was convinced someone was still trying to fight for that dream," he continued. "But I didn't know who. I only found this out recently." He turned to the group, urgency etching his features. "And now, with that developer returning, it's the perfect time to share what we know." Jessica leaned in, heart racing. "Could we disrupt their plans?" "We could rally the community together," Ryan nodded. "Exactly. But we need to act fast. I have a contact who knows what's going on with the development. They're planning a meeting soon, and if we can show them that community's heart matters, maybe we can change everything." As he spoke, Thomas felt a swell of adrenaline. This wasn't just a story anymore. It was a rallying cry. We could expose the truth. We could make everyone see what really matters. "Right?" Clara exclaimed, her voice igniting with renewed purpose. "We can combine all our resources. Everyone who cares about this neighborhood need to come together. Families shall be at the center of it. They need to know they have support." The buzz of agreement hummed through the diner. They were standing on the precipice of something larger than themselves, a fight against faceless greed. But just as the excitement peaked, the dim light above flickered ominously, casting shadows that seemed to swirl with doubt. Wait, Jack said, his brow furrowing. What if they don't want to fight? What if they respond with threats? A hush fell over the group. Thomas's mind raced. They were conjuring a plan out of hope, but hope has its limits when faced with power. I believe together, we can shine a light on the truth, Clara insisted. But we all need to be prepared for any backlash as well. Just then, the door opened again, and a figure familiar to everyone stood there, Mr. Harrington's estranged nephew, looking every bit as out of place as Ryan had before him. The diner filled with a new wave of anticipation, but an undercurrent of dread gnawed at Thomas. Did this newcomer bring a different agenda? And would their dreams of change teeter on the edge of betrayal? The figure pushed the door open slowly, his presence weighing down the vibrant air in the diner. Mark Harrington strolled in, his distressed eyes capturing attention as much as his last name did. The once animated chatter in the diner turned to whispers as he glanced around, recognizing the crowd that held fragments of his family's story. Mark, Clara's voice rang out, catching his eye. Her surprise mingled with caution. What are you doing here? I had to come, he stammered, muscles tense beneath his crisp dress shirt. I heard there's talk of development plans. Is it true? Are they planning to bulldoze the Harrington estate? Jack crossed his arms, brows furrowed. You seem to have an interest in this. Yet you haven't treated your uncle's legacy with much respect. Listen, Mark said, the urgency in his tone cutting through the tension. I didn't have a choice. They never even told me. I was cut out of everything when I moved away. I'm just hearing about all this now. Jessica rolled her eyes. And you think that coming here will help us? How can we trust you? I know what it's like to feel invisible, Mark said, eyes darting, locking onto Clara and Thomas in desperation. And I know how it feels to be left behind. My uncle might be gone, but his vision shouldn't be. It belongs to this community. I can help. His statement hung in the air like a fragile thread, waiting for someone to take it. Clara stepped forward, her heart racing in sync with the buzz of anticipation that filled the diner again. What can you do? What makes you think you have any sway? I'm in contact with the developers, he admitted, voice shaky but resolute. I can get us a seat at the table. And if we act fast, we might be able to convince them to reconsider their plans. A seat at the table? Thomas echoed, skeptical. What do you stand to gain from this? Mark took a breath as if the weight of all his family's choices pressed on his chest. I never wanted to profit from the estate. It's bigger than that. I want to reclaim my family's place here, not for me, but for what my uncle wanted. Why now? Jack asked, his eyes still narrowed. Why the sudden change of heart? I've been lost for so long, Mark replied, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his face. Watching it all slip away made me realize I could do something. I'm tired of feeling like a ghost. I owe it to my uncle. I owe it to the community. Clara shared concerned glances with Thomas and Jessica. Trust was thin, but time was running short. So what's your plan? She asked, her resolve hardening against the tremors of doubt. We gather everyone who cares, share the blueprints Ryan found, and appeal to the developers' sense of community, Mark urged. With enough voices, we can persuade them to look at what they're tearing down and instead invest in the dreams that have been buried. The Harrington estate could still be a place for families to thrive. Suddenly, there was a knock on the diner's back door, disrupting the conversation. All eyes turned as the door opened to reveal a woman with a clipboard, her professional demeanor radiating urgency. I'm looking for the community leaders, she stated firmly. I need to discuss the next steps for the Harrington development. Today, every heartbeat in the diner stilled, anticipation looming thicker than the humidity in the air. Clara sensed the stakes rising, a craving for resolution threading through the group. Would they find the courage to unlock potential allies in a single meeting? Mark's face matched theirs, a mix of hope and anxiety. Would this be their moment or just another spark to ignite uncertainty? As they gathered their resolve, Clara whispered, we have to fight for this. No more waiting. And just like that, their moment of truth stood before them, a chance that could either change everything or seal their fate forever. Clara took a step forward, heart pounding. Mark's plea hung in the air, drawing them closer like a magnet. The woman with the clipboard scanned the diner, her sharp eyes landing on Clara. "You must be the leader everyone is talking about," she said, a hint of challenge in her voice. Clara swallowed hard, feeling the weight of expectations settle on her shoulders. I'm one of them," she said, gratefulness mixed with uncertainty. "What do we need to discuss?" The woman flipped open her clipboard. "I'm Dana, the project manager for Harrington Holdings. We aim to finalize plans this week. The community's input is a priority, but we need to hear your concerns today to ensure they're considered." Everyone exchanged glances, the stakes feeling higher than ever. Clara stepped into the light, grasping this pivotal moment. "We want to preserve the Harrington estate. It has a significant history that impacts our town. It's more than just real estate to us." Dana tapped her pen against the clipboard, eyes narrowing. "Interesting. But you must understand, development means growth, jobs. We can't sacrifice that for nostalgia." "Is that all it is to you?" Mark interjected, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Just numbers? We're talking about lives, history." The corners of Dana's mouth twitched in irritation. "Feelings don't pay the bills. But I'm willing to hear you out. What do you propose?" Clara seized the chance. "If you could repurpose the estate, keep the essence of what it was, while still developing the property, wouldn't that serve the community and your company?" Mark leaned closer, excitement rekindling in his eyes. "We have ideas. It could be a community center, park, a place for people to come together." Silence descended as Dana regarded them, weighing the fervor in their voices. "Those are certainly unique suggestions, but the board is tough to convince. I'm not asking you to lead with what the board wants," Mark pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. "I'm asking you to consider what we need as a community. This is about more than the bottom line. It's about our future. If we lose this place, we lose a part of ourselves." The diner was charged with emotion now, the murmurs of assent surrounding them. Clara looked around at her friends, their faces taut with hope. It felt like they were standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to leap. For a moment, Dana's facade cracked. Clara caught a glimpse of something, perhaps empathy. "I'll take your suggestions to the board, but you must understand, we're on a tight timeline. If a compromise isn't reached soon, the bulldozers will roll in." Mark's expression hardened. "We don't give up that easily." A flicker of determination ignited in Clara's chest. "No, we won't. We fought too hard." Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled, and the diner's attention shifted as another figure stepped inside, a young woman with striking green hair and vibrant tattoos, looking as if she belonged to an entirely different world. She radiated an aura of confidence, her sharp eyes scanning the room before settling on Mark. "Are you the Harrington?" she asked, her voice booming. "I need to talk to you about a plan to save your estate. It's bigger than just you. We can fight back together." Every person in the diner turned, curiosity peaking like a live wire. Clara's heart raced. Who was this woman? How could she possibly know what was happening? Mark shared a glance with Clara, a spark of hope igniting. "Yes, I want to hear more." The atmosphere thickened with anticipation, realizing they might just have stumbled upon an unexpected ally in their fight for the Harrington estate. Would this stranger hold the key to their future, or would her sudden arrival lead them down another uncertain path? As the diner buzzed with questions and new possibilities, Clara felt hope surge within her. If they all joined forces, maybe they could turn the tide. The battle for their community had only just begun, and they were ready to rise to the challenge. What secrets lay ahead, and could they truly reclaim what was lost? Clara took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and anxiety pulsate through her. "What's your plan?" she asked the vibrant newcomer as the eyes of the diner remained glued to her with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. The woman stepped forward with an air of confidence. "My name is Jade," she announced, "and I've been organizing community-focused resistance movements around the region. I sensed a struggle in the air and came to offer my support. This isn't just about your diner. It's about an entire community fighting back against losing its roots." A wave of understanding washed over the crowd. They couldn't just stand by while their diner and legacy crumbled. Clara nodded, fueled by renewed determination. So, what do we need to do? If we can rally more voices, we can create powerful momentum, Jade replied, her tone resolute. I can help mobilize the community and organize a meeting with the developers. But we need to get everyone on board. Mark exchanged a glance with Clara. They understood the importance of uniting their stories, their struggles, for a stronger impact. We could use social media, flyers, everything we have. We have stories that need to be shared. Mark jumped in. We'll meet with the local press. Bring them here to hear firsthand how the diner affects our lives. The air buzzed with energy, and the crowd began planning desperately. Jessica chimed in, recalling how many lives had been touched by Wilson S. over the years. We'll hold a community potluck right here. Invite everyone, old friends. Family will share memories and history. Bring it all back, Ryan added, wearing a determined smile. Let us make it a celebration. A time to emphasize that history isn't just a backdrop. It's alive and breathing in our community. What started as doubt transformed into joy as ideas bounced around. At that moment, they weren't just a group of worried citizens. They were a family, eager to fight for the life that filled the diner. The laughter, the tears, the love. As the planning unfolded, Thomas observed the fervor enveloping everyone in the diner, and he felt engulfed in a warm wave of optimism. The photograph on the table, showcasing connections long lost yet pulsing with life again, felt like an anchor in a storm. His past was here, intertwined with the future they sought to carve. Later that evening, just before closing, they gathered their thoughts and solidified a plan. The diner twinkled under the warm retro lights, the aroma of pie still fresh in the air. Clara stood at the front, her heart pounding with pride. Tomorrow we rise together. This isn't just about this diner. It's about every community member who has a right to belong. Tears sparkled in Jessica's eyes, reflecting the radiant hope filling the room. The excitement was contagious. They knew the road ahead would be bumpy, but for the first time, they saw the path illuminated with promise. Days passed, and as they spread their message, it sparked change throughout the town. They connected with families, neighbors, and friends, each story woven tighter, every shared laugh bringing another thread. The potluck turned into a massive gathering, with signs held high and voices joined together in a unified chorus. Thomas couldn't help but feel transformed, too. The idea of profit started to feel hollow compared to the heartbeat of a community. He made calls to the developers and insisted on participating in meetings that highlighted their resolve. Finally, the day arrived. They stood together in front of the development board, hearts hammering, but united. They shared their stories, passionate testimonies flowing freely, and before them, the developers listened, captivated. The tension in the room buzzed with possibility. With each voice that chimed in, each story shared, it felt as if they were all tightening the bonds that made them a family. Thomas felt a tremor of uncertainty at the edge of his heart, but he was far from unprepared. When the discussion hit a high note, he stood, feeling the weight of their collective hopes. This diner is not just a place, he asserted, his voice steady and unwavering. It's history, it's heart. And we're not just asking for a compromise. We're demanding a future that respects what has come before. If you tear it down, you tear us apart. The air was thick with silence. Then, one by one, standing applause broke the tension like a dam bursting. Thomas's resolve deepened with each clap of gratitude echoing around him. In that moment, something precious shifted. The board, touched by the genuine emotion lying bare before them, began to acknowledge the importance of preservation. We need to consider this beyond a business opportunity, one of the board members stated, his voice unsure but filled with a hint of resolve. Clara felt the triumph surge through the group. She glanced around and caught Jessica's eye, who nodded back, proud tears spilling down her cheeks. Their vibrant diner stood a chance, echoing their shared spirit. Weeks later, the announcement came: a compromise. The diner would remain, revitalized but honoring its legacy, and would also become a community center, a home for shared experiences. The joyous celebration erupted. They embraced one another, laughter weaving through the air once more, filling every corner of Wilson S. Diner. Hope danced in their hearts. And as the sun dipped low, painting the sky with strokes of promise, Clara breathed deep, feeling the warmth radiate from the community that fought back against the odds. They had chosen to stand together, and the future sparkled with potential, reflecting every story, every moment of connection that had filled the diner with life. As they gathered around tables, plates piled high with food, they knew their legacy was safe, and more importantly, their bond had only grown stronger. Remember this moment, Clara thought, holding Jessica's hand, because it was not just a diner. It was their heartbeat, their home, their forever. Now, dear audience, if this story ignites something within you, this is your moment to step up. You need to subscribe to the channel now to dive into captivating stories that inspire. Leave a like now to keep this community thriving and show support. Comment your heartfelt reactions and share how this story made you feel. And do not wait one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread this message of love and unity far and wide. Join us.